DBXL. And really, maybe one of your all's meetings, you could come over and tour our facility because it's really quite unique. And me telling you about it really doesn't describe what you can see when you're in the building. So like John said, does this work? Let's see if it's, I can move it over here. So like John said, we've been around really since 2014. We moved into our new building in January of 2017, which is located in the press building. But this is our vision, and we just had to revision and update our vision because we caught up with the first one that we created. But our mission is to provide an innovative approach to personalized learning. And so because we're small, we can meet each child where they are and help them get to where they need to go. But to make our program successful, we have 4 major cornerstones, and it's campus, content, culture, and community. And our campus, it's very unique. We run a bus every 45 minutes to Dobbins-Bennett and to the Higher Ed Center, so students can take classes at both places, so we allow for that flexible scheduling. Our environment, we don't have classrooms, we have spaces, so teachers will plan their activities and projects in whichever space is conducive to that, that's where they'll move to. We do have a maker space, which is where students can make and create things, a lot like the Inventor Center in downtown Kingsport. And then we really push dual enrollment. So we even have students who are sophomores who will dual enroll. And my reasoning for that is that we want to help them learn how to be a college student, because when they leave us, it won't be the same. It will be very different. And so we want to help them early on learn those strategies to be successful. The personalized learning, we're blended learning, and my next slide will talk about what that actually is. The reason we became a STEM school is because of our project-based learning, and I'll show you some examples of what that means. All of our projects usually involve a community member, and so I'll tell you about who some of those people are. And then a lot of the projects also were cross-curricular. So while you're learning about government, you're going to be learning about your English 10 standards, your geometry standards. So the relevance piece is there across the board, not just in one subject. Culture is very important to us. Our students can be introverts, and so we want to empower them to work together. So we do have a student leadership team. The student leadership team will take people on tours. They'll come and talk to you about our program. They do lots of different things. We have student and teacher mentorships. We do have a parent advisory committee. Since we're under Dobbins-Bennett, we don't have our own PTA, but we do have our parent advisory committee. And then we offer extracurriculars, and I'll talk about some of that with you as well. The community part, the work-based learning, we want to get our kids out in the community. Just like with dual enrollment, we want to show them how to be successful employees, because that can be skills that students are lacking. And so we want to be able to help them learn those things early on as well. We have community members who provide great internships for our students. Since we are a STEM school, we want them to be STEM professionals, and then we do service learning as well. I get questions a lot of time about what is blended learning, and people tend to think that it's all online, and it isn't. So we house all of our content in a learning management system called Canvas, and what's great about that is a lot of universities use Canvas as their online management system, so it's yet another way that we're teaching students to be successful whenever they leave us. So it's a blend of being online and offline. So you're not online all the time, but the teacher may flip the classroom, so when you go home at night, you'll have things that you need to do online, and then you'll come in class and you'll work with the instructor on whatever that may be. And then I talked about the flexible scheduling, where that we can allow students to go all over the place in Kingsport throughout the day and still ensure that they're getting the rigor and the coursework that they need to get a high school diploma. The project-based learning that we do, my philosophy as an educator is that a lot of students are incredibly intelligent. They can't just, they're not good test takers. And so they can create things and show me what they know. And sometimes that's more powerful than completing a standardized test. So like I talked earlier, our projects will often involve community members, and that doesn't mean that we're always sending people out into the community. That may mean that we have people from Bell Helicopter who are actually coming into our facility and working along with students as they're creating their projects. So it really is a different way of learning. A couple of years ago, we applied at the state level to have our pathways, our career and technical pathways certified. And not only did we get the certification for both of them, but we actually scored at the advanced level. So the two different pathways that we have a STEM pathway, obviously we're a STEM school, and then we also have a communications pathway. The first pathway that I'll talk to you about is their communications one. The coursework that would go along with that would be digital arts 1, 2, 3, and 4. We also have a journalism class that students can take that we offer from year to year. And if you look, we do a lot of the advertising for organizations within the chamber. And so Keep Kingsport Beautiful is one of them. And you'll see the one in the middle, that's Be a Part of Clean Sweep Kingsport. That is a graphic that students completed. The other graphic with the communications pathway is the Twilight Alive concert series. And that was really unique because that ended up being on billboards, which really excited our students because they'd never seen work like that. And a piece of work like that may take 3 months to complete. And what's great about that is our students will go down to the chamber and get feedback on what they're completing. They'll give them feedback on what they like and they don't like, things they need to that they think they need to change, and then our students will come back and make those changes, and then they'll go back down whenever they get an updated product. A couple of years ago, the state of Tennessee called me and said that they had heard about our digital arts program. And they asked us if we would be willing to represent the state of Tennessee in Washington, D.C. So our students created the only ornaments that went on the Tennessee Christmas tree. And that's a thing that happens, it's an annual event that happens every year. There's some examples, the 2 circles on the bottom, those are some of the examples of the ornaments that the students designed. Are any of you all familiar with Adobe Creative Suite, like Illustrator? So that looks like it's just clip art that's thrown up on paper, and it really isn't. I mean, it takes a long time to create some of those graphics. A large company in Kingsport actually heard that we were doing this kind of work with students, and they were so excited that they donated MacBook laptops for us so that our students could be able to complete this kind of work. So they were really excited about that. We had several students and their families who traveled to DC and participated in that event. So those are just some different examples. This is actually a picture of Emily in the chamber when she came up to our facility and gave our students feedback. The first time that we did that, a group of girls, they stopped by my office and they said, I can't go down there and meet with them. I'm too nervous. They're better than I am. By the end of the semester, they came to me and they were like, we're going to head downstairs and talk to Emily and see if she needs any changes made. And so that's just a piece of success that goes along with the project-based learning that we're able to do with students and their level of confidence. Our next pathway is the STEM pathway, and the classes that we offer that are associated with this particular pathway, we have our STEM 1, 2, 3, and 4 courses. The 4th course is a work-based learning course. We have Intro to Engineering, Principles of Engineering, and then our biology courses are also offered within that pathway. The activities that students complete in that, if you see the DBXL Shark Tank graphic, so for 2 years, the state of Tennessee has released a challenge called the Design Challenge for the state, and our students have won the top prize both years. And it's where they're creating a product just like you would on Shark Tank. They're going before people, they're explaining what they've created, they're getting feedback, they're going through their iterations of making changes. And so that's one example of a project that students would work on in the STEM class. We also have, people come in from the community. I think that actually is a Bell representative that came in and talked about Bell helicopter. And then I don't know if you all are familiar with the Rube Goldberg work, but it's where students essentially create an obstacle course and they try to get a ball to go from point A to point B, which is a long process and it takes a couple of months to complete. So that's what this graphic is right here in the bottom. And so that is another example of what coursework or what projects that we may have that's associated with that coursework. We do have student clubs and organizations, and like I said, just like students can take coursework at Dobyns-Bennett, they can be on the football team, they can be cheerleaders, dance team members. We have all types of students who choose to come to our school, and they still get to participate in those activities. What we offer within our school, we have a DBE leadership team that I talked about. We've got a podcast club where it's really heavily associated with their English department, and they're writing things and then creating podcasts together. We have a drone league team, which is our DB accelerators. We have our Armades, and that's our underwater robotics team. Has anybody in here heard about our underwater robotics? Okay, so we were the first team in Tennessee. Both years that we have been in the competition for the state level, we have won a spot to go on to the national level. So the first year, our kids actually went to Seattle, Washington, and they were one of 11 teams to take home an award. And they're competing against people who were from Hong Kong, who were from China, who were all over the world. And they actually won for innovation. They were able to create their robot in a very cheap way. And our kids, they were priceless, because when they were telling the judges about what they were creating, the judge said, "Now, where did you get that part to be able to do that?" And one of our kids said, "The local tractor supply." And they were like, "What's a tractor supply? Like, we've never heard of that here." So they had to explain to them what that was. But we do have our Armades team, which they've been very successful. We have a Key Club. We started that a couple of years ago. And I'm excited to share with you that we had our first meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we had over 40 kids show up. So we're excited about that, because that's just giving back to the community. And then we have a math club that meets a couple of times a week, and that can be anything from math support to working on extra things associated with math, problems that kids are trying to solve. So we do offer things within our program. The students can also go to Dobyns-Bennett and participate in things as well. Just like DB, we have graduation requirements by the state of Tennessee. To get a Dobyns-Bennett diploma, you do have to have 28 credits. And so I've got up here the major coursework that we offer. If you see the little asterisk, that means that you can take an honors level to that course. So just like pre-AP courses that you may take at Dobyns-Bennett, we also have students who get that same credit on their diploma. So we have 4 different English classes. We're able to offer 5 different math classes. If it's a higher math than the bridge or the sales math that you see up there, we usually dual enroll students. So they won't take their math class with us. That higher math will get them into Northeast State. Our science classes, like I mentioned, the STEM 1, 2, 3, 4, biology. We have chemistry, intro to engineering, and principles of engineering. Social studies, we have world history, government, U.S. history, personal finance, and econ. And then we also have digital arts 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the course offerings aren't the same because we're much smaller, but we still offer enough credits to get students to that 28 credit hour requirement to receive a Dobyns-Bennett diploma. This is our staff. We have 2 English teachers, 2 social studies, 2 science, 3 math teachers. We have a digital arts teacher, a special education teacher, a college and career liaison. We have 3 instructional assistants. Our nurse actually accepted a job right before school started, so we have a sub-nurse right now. If anybody in here is certified with your nursing degree, we will definitely talk after this is over. We have 1 cafe person, and a lot of times she will prepare the food at DBE, but it does come from Dobyns-Bennett, so she may have to go and get the food and satellite it over. A secretary, and then I am the principal of DBE. This is a question I get a lot, is how many students do you enroll, and then what's the enrollment process look like? We currently have a little over 240 students. By the time the year is over, we will have had about 275 to 300 students. The reason for that, we have several who will graduate in December and go on to do something else. Maybe the military, they've already been accepted to Northeast State or ETSU. Life has happened and they need to go on to something else. In December, we will open up enrollment again for new students to come to us in January. So that's the reason we'll end the year having served about 275 to 300 students. The enrollment process really is quite simple. There's an application that the middle school counselors and Dobyns-Bennett counselors have. Students will go to their counselor and they'll get an application. They have to tell us why they want to come to DBE. Once that application is received on our end, the student and their family have to come and tour DB Excel. And the reason for that is we want them to see the environment before they commit to coming to us, because it may be something that they're not going to like or be successful in. So we do bring them over to tour the facility. And then Ms. Kirkhoff works with the counselor at the school, be that DB, Robinson, or Sevier, along with a small group of students to look at that application, look at that student's history, and determine are they going to be a good fit for us or not. We probably have, I think the last count, we have 17 tuition students, which is a pretty high percentage compared to the number of students that we actually have in our full student body. And we accept students from new school system or from different school systems. So the process for that is much the same. They'll meet with Ms. Kirkhoff, they will take a tour, we'll talk to them about who we are, do we think that this is going to be a good fit, and we'll talk about that together, and then we'll accept the student or not. So it's an easy process, but there are steps that you do have to take. We are award-winning. Some of the different things that we're very proud of at DB Excel is our mateys that I mentioned before. Our 2 statewide design challenge winners who have won 2 years running. We almost always have 1 or more students who win the 20 under 20, that's an Appalachian Highlands sponsored event. A couple of years ago, we had our first Roan Scholar. And then, I don't know, are any of you all familiar with an organization called SCORE that's based in Nashville? It's a Bill Frist Foundation. They heard about us a few years ago and said, we want to send a group out to study what you all do. And so they sent this group, and they stayed for a few days. They talked to parents, to students, they spent time in classrooms, and they ended up featuring us in what high schools could be. So, and we're super proud of that because that's a research-based foundation that looked at our program and data to determine what is this school, how does it work, why are students successful? And I can direct you to copies of that if you're interested in reading what they have to say. And then, of course, the Christmas tree project. So that's all I have. What I am going to do is click on this and show you our website briefly in case you want to go there and see what else we offer and what we're about. And I'm going to show you a real short video that's about 90 seconds long. And I have business cards in case anybody needs one of those. So this is our website. We have a couple of different commercials that we advertise. We had this commercial made by Cumberland Marketing because they're a strong supporter of ours, and they offer an academy for our students. Our students actually go to them and participate in that academy, and then sometimes they do come into us. But they spent time with us, and they helped us create this particular commercial.
Today can be different. Different in purpose, understanding, and relevance. Today, our students will explore, and we'll guide them. Foster their passions. And encourage their growth. Today, they'll work ahead. In the classroom, and in the community. Because this is their school.
Our school. My school.
Today and every day will work for them. So that tomorrow is theirs for the taking.
All right, so what questions might you all have for me that you want to know a little bit more?